right now we're going to move along to hard questions where Frenchie and I, he can explain it better than me. I ramble.
Okay, look, the way we set up the show for our segments anyways was, we like to argue, but we also have really in-depth conversations like adults do, not just the whole time, right? So we wanted to take the subjects a lot of people argue about and sometimes lose respect. They don't necessarily dive deeper into the more plausible things, and they just yell at each other. We wanted to avoid that. We want to really have an adult conversation. And this week's conversation is something that I see a lot of division. It's really split, in my opinion. And should Star Wars dive deeper into the D plus content and Rebels and the Clone Wars and things that are not movie related? Because a lot of people say, "Hey, this is movie a schmodown for movie trivia, not TV trivia, not Star Wars lore trivia. It's movie trivia." And I get it. I completely get it. It technically makes no sense in a sense, right? But for some odd reason, for me, Star Wars is kind of the exception. It's such a lore thing. It's such interconnected that if you are a Star Wars fan, usually you know everything. If you're like a hardcore Damon, hardcore Harper, hardcore the Malanta, Star Wars is not just movies. It's books, comics, TV show, hell, even some radio play. Apparently, there's a lot of things that involve Star Wars. So for me, Star Wars could pump up questions from other places and still make sense because there's things that interconnect into the movies and movies interconnect into the shows. So it wouldn't be a disjunct feeling. They all intertwine. And the thing is, we're getting deeper and deeper. They can't reset the questions every 2 years, okay? And especially they're making a push for more competitors, more matches, more. At one point, it's like, how many grains of stone is there on the wall? It's at one point, if the questions are like, how many horns does Darth Maul have on his head? It's like, good Lord, people. So there's only so much you can do. And I've been checking the upcoming movies, right? There's like 3 movies in like 22, 26. It's going to take some time before we get more movie content. But in the TV show, it's one after the other, right? So for me, it's just a natural evolution. And if it was like TV shows for TV shows, no. But since it's Star Wars and it interconnects, for me, it kind of makes sense.
I absolutely cannot argue with anything that you just said there as far as the reasons as to why it should be included. I completely agree. If it is included, I have no issues with that. It will not be the hill that I die on. But I do take a firm stance that as long as it's called, and I'm going to be like this, as long as it's called the Movie Trivia Schmodown, I do not think that it should be included. Now, if they want to somehow, within, underneath the Movie Trivia Schmodown umbrella, it's not the Star Wars movie trivia division, but like just the Star Wars division, and they make it clear that that's the case, then yes, I would be 100% for that, because you are absolutely right. Like you said, the books, the comics, just everything, the games, the cartoons, everything.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you, except for that one little roadblock where it's called the Movie Trivia Schmodown.
Here's the thing, because we're going on an old concept of if it's on TV, it's a TV show, right? But now with streaming, look at WandaVision. WandaVision is basically a movie cut in half-an-hour episodes. The quality, the way it's progressed, the way it's written, feels like mini movies, okay? And the more we advance in the society that we live in today, sadly, if this continues with variants of COVID and this and that, we might not have movies as we know it. TV shows might become our movies, or we might have movies directly on streaming platforms a lot more than cinema. So things are changing, right? And
Yeah.
I think Star Wars has been changing from Mandalorian era, that it felt like a mini series put in like the quality of a movie. Back in the day, 10 years ago, Mandalorian would have not have been a TV show. It would have been a movie, right? If like the whole Han Solo thing movie would have worked 100%, and they would have done the Obi-Wan and probably Mandalorian after, right, as movies. But that didn't work, so they did something different. So for me, Star Wars, I get it, is movie trivia schmodown, but the concept of movies and TV shows are blurring the lines these days. And you're getting content questions that would put a level playing field for new and old competitors. You'll be starting at zero in a sense, because the movies, you'll be accumulating knowledge, and you can just always visit back and just see what you can soak in, right? Whereas
Right.
you add new content that you would have to do new research, because before you just watched it, saying to yourself, this is not going to be in a movie trivia showdown because it's not a movie, so I'm not going to retain it. But now, oh shit, it's in it, so everyone has to start from zero. It kind of gives chances to Scrimshaw, to anyone else that has a bad record but doesn't reflect the record, to kind of be equal to other players that have a bit more success. So for me, it makes sense question wise, level playing wise, and the fact that movies and TV shows right now are blurring the lines.
Well, before we get both Dan's in here, I'll give my final thoughts. I agree with what you're saying as far as it would be great to open up the info, but I'm sorry, but even though it may feel like a movie, it is a series. It is
I
called a
know.
D plus series, which means it's not a movie. And that's a fact, which I can't get past. Like I said, if they want to make it clear that under the movie trivia schmodown umbrella, that there's just a Star Wars division that covers everything, that's fine. But then you're going to get into the Marvel, then why not in Inner Geekdom? Why don't we add the Marvel shows? And if we're adding the Marvel shows, we have to add the comics. If we're at, it's a slippery slope, man.
And this is where I agree with you, is because for me, I wouldn't want the Disney Plus Marvel content in, because there's so much Marvel content already. It's kind of like there's no Marvel division. It's IG, right?
It's the same thing. They're both series.
But that's what I'm saying.
Divisions.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm kind of contradicting myself, but for some odd reason, I can't go over the fact that for me, Star Wars feels different, because Star Wars has its own division where it's IG already. You got like 200 movies, not alone like the Marvel. So like, why add more shit? You already have enough study content and question content. Star Wars, it's one thing only. It's Star Wars, and right now the movies are going to take time before it gets released, but you're still getting new content in. So for me, because it's a really smaller, something that's very more focused in, it would still serve without being too much of a hindrance, because you won't have that much things else to study, right? Because it's ongoing. Again, I'm contradicting myself, because you're right. If you're opening up the door to have Star Wars D plus stuff, you're opening the door for other D plus things. But could we do an exception? Could Christian maybe understand that you kind of need new content after a while, because you don't want, there's no more surface level questions. There's no more surface. Star Wars is like the most ridiculous questions ever. So if we're going into hell, let alone just an IG territory, to have several surface level questions in IG slice wheels, right? And rookie matches and matches that who have competitors are 0-1. What surface level, what easy questions is there left if you're not recycling? It's just a question of practice. That's the thing. It's a question of practicality. For me, makes more sense.
Fair enough.
All right.
Let's get Maple Dan and Eagles Dan's take on this. You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.